Okay, guys. So I have already my instances are running. Okay, so Jenkins server is running. What I can do, let me just go ahead with the sad library concept. Okay, what is sad library and why should you use? And definitely you'll get multiple questions on this Jenkins sad library, and which I do also. I ask people whenever I take interviews, I ask on the Jenkins sad library because this is the one you must use in your project or in your automation journey. Okay, so Jenkins share library, first you need to understand what is this and how to use it. That's all. What is it and how to use it? If you know that, then you can easily write it based on your requirement. So what is the Jenkins share library? It is a concept of having common pipeline code in the version control system that can be used by any number of pipelines just by referencing it. You understood? Just we'll create a common pipeline code in the version control system that can be used by any number of pipelines. So we'll just create one cell library, and that one cell library can be used by n number of pipeline scripts, by n number of Jenkins files. Suppose in your company, in your organization, you have multiple projects, your DevOps engineers are working. Suppose four teams are working and four different DevOps engineers with four different projects you guys are working. Okay, you will be writing multiple pipelines. For one project might be you writing 10 pipelines. For suppose for four projects you might be writing 40 pipelines, right? But all these 40 pipelines, if you are using and writing, think about that, how much time it will take to write and do the complete automations of those 40 pipelines and all the projects. So you have to write the codes again and again and again to make it run, to make the automations. In case of shared library, what we'll do, we'll write all the functionality, whatever the functionality is required for your organization. Suppose four projects are there, and in these four projects you have to find it out the common functionality which is mostly used by all the pipelines. So what you can do, you can write all this functionality in one shared library, okay, as a method, as a function, and that can be used by across all the pipelines. I'll show you how we can write it. Okay, now you clearly understood why we need the shared library, what is the shared library concept. Okay, now how to design the shared library, how to write it, how to organize it, I'll just show you. Okay, then what it says, multiple teams can use the same shared library for their team. Multiple teams can use the same shared library for their team. That is what I was telling. And here is the folder structure. It is very simple. Okay, so you have to just create a shared library name. Suppose in this case I have written like my hyphen Jenkins hyphen shared library, and the folder structure will be vars, source and resources. So how we'll use this all folders and what this vars folder contains, what is this source folder contains, and what is this resources folder contains. Now, the words directory or the folder holds all the global cell library code that can be called from a pipeline. So, we are mostly going to work on this words folder. Mostly going to work on this words folder. This directory holds all the global shared library code that can be called from a pipeline anywhere. Okay, and it has all the library files with a .groovy extension. Remember, that is what I was telling. In Jenkins we have to must some ideas, not expertise but some ideas on groovy scripting. Okay, it will help you to write your automations faster, because this scripting, right, scripting has multiple it's very easy, guys. Groovy scripting is very easy. I'll also share you the link from where you can just have a knowledge, on the groovy, and it will be very simple. I'll show you how you can write it. Okay, don't get scared and like we have to learn another scripting and all. It's not required. You can on the go, like whenever you're doing automations on the go itself, if you know the logic, if you know the ideas, you know the how to write it, you can simply search in the internet and find the groovy syntax and put it in your code. First thing, you should know what you are doing, right? And how you want to achieve that one, then you will get it easily everything. Okay, that's about the words folder. The source folder, it is added to the class path. During every script compilation, we can add custom Groovy code to extend our cell library code. So if you want to add some extra functionality or extra code kind of plugins, then you can add all this into the source folder. That is very less used. Okay, and the resources, all the non-groovy files required for your pipelines can be managed in this folder. So non-groovy files means normal text files or configuration file, ini file, cnf file, right? Those kind of files you can put in the resources folder. So mostly we will focus on the vars folder, how to prepare the methods or how to prepare the functions that can be reused across pipelines. Okay, now let's see how we'll add it or how we'll create it. So just first what you have to do, we have to, as it is the definition itself says, is a concept having common pipeline code in the version control system. You need to understand this line. Jenkins share library is a concept of having common pipeline code in the version control system that can be used by any number of pipelines just by referencing it. So in the version control system, so we have to create a Jenkins share library and store in our version control system. So our version control system, we are using GitHub. Now if I go to my repositories, I'll have already a Jenkins share library created. Okay, Jenkins share library, 1 second. Okay, so you can see here I have a Jenkins share library created as my Jenkins share library, and it is public. You can also have a look into this Jenkins share library. You can see here I have not given any readme or any details added here. Maybe I'll add it somewhere. This Jenkins share library, as I have made it public, even you can use this Jenkins share library methods. So whatever the methods I have created, whatever the functionality I have created, if you think that functionality can be suited for your project, for your automations, you can go ahead and use this Jenkins share library and use the method created. Okay, suppose I have created these many methods. What are these methods? Build, deploy, Java build or MS build, scan, upload. Very few I have created in the Groovy, and you can see it is .groovy syntax. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to simply create a repository. The repository name, you can give it anything. So the repository name you can give anything. Okay, so that name will be act as your shared library name. Okay, and here you have to create two folders or three folders, sorry. You have to create bars, source and resources. If you don't create source and resources, that's also fine, but vars folder is must. Okay, by this way Jenkins share library will work. Now what you'll do here, in the vars folder you have to keep all the functions or all the functionality methods whatever you want to create. Suppose if I click on this Groovy script build.groovy, so what is happening, and here it is just simply created called a method. So in Groovy we call this method it as def call. This is a common method that can be called automatically whenever you use this build.groovy in any of the pipeline. Okay, it's simply I have just written one echo statement. So if I go ahead and see some kind of this Java build, right? And here you can see in this also I have used one simple sh syntax ambient clean install. Okay, also if I go for upload, see, simple things I have used uploading the artifacts into the S3 bucket. See, this is what being used, right? I'll also show you how you can use the custom methods. This is the default method call that will be automatically called if we use this particular upload keyword. It will automatically call this method. If you want to call the particular methods, I think I might have written somewhere else. Let me check. If not, I'll show you. Okay, the actions is not written anywhere. Okay, in the deploy. Good. So here I have one deploy.groovy. Little more is written here. If you see here, the deploy.groovy, if you think you are going to deploy this into your Tomcat server, right? This is the staging server, replace all and all. See, is being used. And this staging server, this is a variable, is being picked up from a Jenkins file. I'll show you how we can use it. Okay, it will be reusable. Suppose tomorrow Jyoti or Gunjesh suppose wants to use this functionality, this method deploy. They can go ahead and deploy. Only what they have to do, they have to mention their staging server IP address with a variable name is called staging underscore server in their Jenkins file. I'll show you that how to write that. And here I have written some conditions, for loops conditions, and also some looping functionality I have added it here. So you'll not understand mostly these things until unless you just go ahead with the groovy one. Let me tell you, you can easily go to the internet, okay, search for groovy tutorial. Okay, you don't have to go more into that. Okay, just have little details on the groovy. Lots of tutorials we will find it, but I would suggest you go with this Java T point. Okay, this is a very good site. I love this one. It has very less one. Just go through this groovy things and you'll get lots of other questions, other tutorials also. Okay, what we'll do, just check for the groovy introduction and how to install it and how to use it. It has groovy basic syntax also. Okay, again, I'm not going to explain all this. Let's go ahead with the basic syntax. So here is the basic syntax. It use kind of Java syntax, right? Static void main and print these things, right? But let me show you. Let's go ahead other tutorial. I think it has very less details given. Go to, there are many much things are there, so whatever, just go ahead and check. Okay, and here has details are there. So I was talking about the methods and all, how to write the methods and all. So we'll just go ahead and check about the methods. Okay, let's see how to write the methods and all. So here it is actually called keyword def and give a method name. So guys, you'll be thinking, right, you have to learn entirely this one. So if you have some ideas on that, because this Jenkins library works on the groovy scripts only. Okay, so you have to write the groovy scripts. It is very simple. Suppose here you are giving just name def method name, any name, suppose you can xyz, and what you want that xyz to contain. Or you can create a method name is called, suppose, upload, def upload. So what you can do, you can use that def upload one, and that you can call it in your Jenkins library things. Okay, here you have to use, instead of call, you can just give upload, and that upload you have to use it in your Jenkins library. Okay, so don't get it complicated, just have a look how it works. Okay, so that's why I'm not going much deeper on that, because you'll not have some ideas. I'll give some time for you. Just go ahead with this tutorialspoint.com. Okay, this groovy, I'll just put it in the chat. Just go ahead with this tutorial. Okay, have a look about the groovy syntax and try to write it down. Don't worry, I'll give you most of the groovy syntax examples and all. I have lots of things with me already, predefined methods and all, so you can go ahead and use that one. And better you just have little practice on that, how to write your own method. Okay, how to write your own method. As it is mentioned, you can also create class and all. Okay, it's actually one object oriented language, okay, or scripting, so you can use that one in your programming. Now, so these are little details about that, how to write the for loop and looping concepts and all. Okay, how to write the looping for statement, while statement, for in statement. So it will be quite difficult for the people who are in a different no, non-development background. But don't worry, as I said, it will be very simple and you don't have to go very deeper. You have to just know the syntax, how to write it. But this Jenkins library is just the advanced one, just the advanced one, and most of the organizations they use it, but not all. But not all the organizations, even though they use it, you can just have a look how to write it and use in your Jenkins file. I'll show you. Now you just get some ideas on the Jenkins library. Okay, this is just I gave a basic things. Now let's go ahead and see how we can use these methods in our Jenkins file. Let me just log into my Jenkins server. Okay, you can ask any doubt. I think little difficulties you'll face, but don't worry, we'll have multiple classes on this. Okay, we'll try to completely no, finish off with all this site library concept and all, because this will be useful for your automation journey. Okay, now what I'll do here, let me go ahead and create a simple project. Okay, simple job, and that I'm going to show you here. Just go ahead and create new item. Suppose I'll say sad leaf demo, sad library demo. Okay, pipeline, obviously it will be a pipeline job. Okay, so something give it. I don't need anything here, just go ahead. Sorry, I went into the wrong path. It should not be the pipeline. Okay, it should not be the pipeline. It should, you should use the multi-branch pipeline. Okay, you should use multi-branch pipeline. 1 second, demo, and here you'll find this multi-branch pipeline, right? Select this multi-branch pipeline. Okay, okay, so here you can see one pipeline libraries, right? This is what you'll find it out. You can see one pipeline libraries. If you go below, you'll find here searchable libraries available to any pipeline jobs inside this folder. Add it, and you just give a name to the pipeline. Okay, and the default version. Let me just add it. So what you have to do, you have to just go for multi-branch pipeline. Just give a name to the library. You have to just provide the library name. Suppose I'll give my Jenkins sad library, my Jenkins sad library. Okay, give a name, and this name you have to use in your Jenkins file. Okay, default version. So the default version will be the master one, default version. I'm not going to change any version. If you need any help, just click it here. What it says, a default version of the library load if a script does not select any another version. As I am going to use the master default one, so let it be there. Okay, now if we go ahead here and check how many versions I have only one master default version is there, right? Let's go ahead, and here we have retrieval method. This is most important, guys, most important retrieval method. And this retrieval method, we have the legacy source code management, and one is the modern source code management. And this legacy was the old one, we are not going to use it. We have to use this modern source code management. Okay, and from where you want to get the Jenkins sad library? Our Jenkins sad library is in our GitHub page, right? In our GitHub repository, GitHub version control system. So I need this link, the URL, right? Which URL? The sad library URL. Get the sad library URL. Go to a link here, project repository, right? As it is public, right? It will not ask for any credentials. But remember, for your organization, for your company, definitely you'll be going to use the private repositories, and for the private repo you must have the credentials to use. Okay, you must have the credentials to use. I have one credential, but it is not for this GitHub repo, right? This is for a different one. I'll show you now. And you know very well how to add the credential. I already have shown you, right? If you not, just click on add, click on the Jenkins, then it will add the new credentials. Okay, and here the discover branches. So how you want to discover your branch? Just add it. As you know, you can use either by filter by name with wildcards or regular expression, and I'll go with wildcard. Okay, I just gave it star for the time being because I have only one. So star means all the branches available with the side library. Okay, so why it is required, guys? Can anybody answer? Discovery branches. Can you just give a real time scenario, right? Because we already have discussed all these things, right? In our multi-branch pipeline. Why we need this multi-branch pipeline, and what will be useful? And why we need this filter option here? Because in the sad library we are going to use the sad library, right? And why you need these filter options? Okay.
Because there will be number of branches. So which branch specific to specific we want, we can segregate here.
Exactly. So as I said already, we'll be working on multiple branches, right? In your organization, in your company, in your project, you'll have multiple branches and multiple team members will be working. So which branch you are working, you have to specify. In the Jenkins sad library also, if you have twisted something, right? If you have added new functionality, what you have to do? You have to create a new branch, obviously, and in that branch you have to modify the code based on your requirement. It does not mean that you have to use the already defined or written sad library. No, you can modify it by based on your requirement, right? So that's why what you have to do, you have to create a new branch, then you modify whatever the code you want, and then while using in the Jenkins job, you have to filter it out which particular sad library branch you want to use. Which particular sad library branch you want to use, you have to specify it here. Okay, that's all. Now if you want to exclude anything, you can exclude it. That's I've given star because I have only one thing is there. I don't want to use all the style library. I'll show you in the real-time project whenever we do it. And the library path, it is optional. If you want to add it, you can add or leave it. Okay, so this is the style library URL being used, right? That's all. I just added the style library things in my pipeline library. Still, I have not added much things here. Go to the general, give your descriptions, whatever you want. Branch sources, it should be branch sources. That means the project, which project you want to build. Git, and here the project, which project you want to build, you have to add it. I'll just show you guys in two ways. Okay, I'll show you two ways how you add the shared library. Other way also I'll show you after this one. This is the one way. Another way also I'll show you. Okay, first let me just give the Git repository, the project. This time you have to provide the project repository, not the shared library one. Okay, so go to your project repository. Here, as our project repository is DevOps Wave, right? And here you have to use the shared library thing. Okay, you have to use the shared library thing. Suppose I'll go with this feature leaf concept, this featured leaf. Okay, what I'll do here, clone this one, put it here. Credential is not required. This is also public. Okay, here the discovery branches behavior. Okay, it is must to add whatever. If I give star, so what will happen here in DevOps, for this project you can see here I have 15 branches, right? I have 15 branches here. Now if I give star, what will happen? All 15 branches, it will create a job with all 15 branches. We'll have 15 multiple concurrent jobs, right? So I don't want to put load on my Jenkins server. I don't want to keep all 15 jobs, 15 branches in my project, in my Jenkins job. Suppose I want only particular jobs, that's name is feature library or anything related to feature. If you want, just give star feature. It will give all the branches having starting with feature name. All this feature, right? All these feature branches will be started running or will be fetched in the part of the jobs. Okay, but I want only particular job. Suppose I'll give feature leaf, or remove the star, only provide feature leaf. That's all. Okay, feature leaf. And if you want feature only feature, you already know in our multi-branch pipeline classes, I already have shown you how to get that. I'm not going to do it again. So you can get particular name also provide, so that only single branch will be discovered. Only single branch will be discovered. Now property strategy, that let it be there, the same default. Build configurations, you know, always it will be by Jenkins file. Okay, it will be always by Jenkins file. So scan multiple branch trigger, it will be automatically scanned. Okay, what it says, periodically if not otherwise run. So I don't want the branch to be scanned periodically, only it will be scanned once we create it. Okay, that's leave it. And this orphaned strategy is not required. Appearance is not required. Health metrics, leave it. Properties, in the properties sections we don't have anything, just simply it's blank. And I already have showed you the pipeline libraries. Okay, in the pipeline libraries you have to add the library details. So this is the one way to add the library. The other way also I'll show you how to add the libraries. Okay, in the system configurations, this is the job. In the job itself I have added, but the globally in the system configurations how we can add it, that also I'll show you. Okay, now let's save this one. Okay, save this job. As you know, as soon as I save, it will scan the branch, right? It will scan all the branches. As I have given only one feature slash library, as I have given only feature slash library, so what it did, it only found this particular branch. And if I go to this library demo, see, we have only one job with this branch is created. We have this library, but only one feature lib job is created. Okay, now let's go ahead and do some changes. I have created this one. If you want to see the job by default, it is failed initially. Let's see why it is failed. Okay, so loading library path is failed. That's what, because we have not done anything yet. We simply created the job. Okay, now what we have to do in this side library, the branches, as I told, you have to use the Jenkins file, right? In the Jenkins file, you have to load the sad library. You have to load the sad library. So how you will write the Jenkins file, that is actually most important. That is actually most important. How you can write the Jenkins library, how you can use the Jenkins library in your Jenkins file. So this is the Jenkins file. You can see this is the Jenkins file. I'm not going to show you this one. This is the little complicated and advanced one. Let me go with a different one. Okay, this is also having everything. Let me go with this library only. Feature library. Okay. This is the simple pipeline script. You know already, right? How to write it. This is the simple pipeline script. But here you can see we have this library being used. If you want to use the sad library in the Jenkins file, what you have to do? You have to simply add it in your file. So let me show you from the scratch. I'm not going to use this one. So what I'll do, I'll just copy one, suppose test 1.1, and it has the Jenkins file. Okay, test 1.1 is having the Jenkins file. I just want to use this one. Let me create a new branch called test sad leaf. I just create a branch called test sad leaf. Okay, that's all. Create the branch. So our branch test sad library is created, and this is having a pipeline. Suppose you are working on this pipeline. Now how you will use, now let me just edit this one. First let me edit this one. Simple things, I'm not going to put all these things. I'll just simply put the echo command so that I can show you, I can demonstrate you how you can do echo building. Okay. This agent, we don't have this Linux agent, so I can just remove this agent here. I can provide any, and you know very well the master and slave architecture, right? How to use the agent on the pipeline script, you know very well, right? I'm not going to show you here. So in these stages, I have two stages. In this stages block, I have two stages. One stage is here build. Another stage is deploy to Tomcat server. Deploy to Tomcat server. Okay, I have added it here. Simple. Let's go ahead and use commit changes. Got it? Now what do you do here? So I use the test sad library. Now let me modify the project. What you have to do? You have to go to the configure, go to the branch sources, and here instead of feature library, I created a new new branch is called test sad library, test slash sad library, right? So let's go ahead here, put as test slash sad library. This is the job name, this is the Jenkins, sorry, this is the branch name, this is the branch will be scanned. Now let's go ahead and save. As soon as you save, it will scan it, right? You go to the sad library and it is, now you can see the scan is running. Okay, if I go here, go to the scan multi-branch pipeline log, you can see here started and found sad library, it is success. Good. Now go to the logs here and you can see here our job is now success. This particular branch test slash sad library, before it was featured leaf and the job is now gone. The job is now, the branch is now gone because the branch is now is not, the criteria is not met in the sad library whatever I gave only test slash sad library. So if I go here, the job is success. And here this is a simple multi-branch pipeline, but I have not used my sad library. I have not used my sad library. So how we'll use the sad library? Let's go ahead. As I said in our previous branches, right? What you have to do, you have to just use a statement called at the rate library. Okay, at the rate, let's go to the branch test sad library. Let me borrow. This is a simple pipeline script. This is a simple pipeline script, and I have not used any sad library concept here. Edit it. Go ahead. What you have to do? At the rate, you have to write at the rate library, at the rate library, and here you have to provide the library name. So what is the library name? The library name you can get it from the, one second, from your GitHub page. Okay, the library whatever you have created. So what is the library? It is your Jenkins library, right? My Jenkins library. This is the one I need to use it, right? Go to the my Jenkins library. You need to copy this exact name. You need to copy the exact name. Okay, just go ahead and put it here. This exact name you have to put it here, and here you have to provide underscore here. Okay, now got it? Jenkins library. Okay, you have to put it in the single quote here. You put it in the single quote so that it will be kept as this sad library being used. Remember how you will write at the date library. We are going to use this particular library, and how it will find it out, as we already have this added into our, if I go to the configure, right, if we go to the configure in our pipeline libraries, we have already added the name here. Based on this name, it will find it out the complete details. See, my Jenkins sad library at the rate library, my Jenkins sad library. 1 second. If I go ahead, what is the, okay, which one? This one. Okay, what do you say here? My hyphen Jenkins sad library. If I go here, you can see my Jenkins sad library. This is the one I'm going to use it. That's all. Now what do you have to do? How we'll get this syntax in our code? Because in our Jenkins sad library we have written lots of codes here, right? If I go here, what we have lots of methods written: build, deploy, ms build, scan, and upload, right? These things have been written here. So what we'll do here, I want to suppose use this build. I want to suppose use this build method in our Jenkins file. So how I'll use it? Simple, go ahead to your, sorry, this is not the one, edit it. Okay, instead of this directly echo, if I want to use it, so what you have to use, you have to write script block here. You have to write the script block and then call out the method, and then call out the method. So what is the method? Suppose I want to use this build.groovy, right? I want to use the build.groovy. Now let's go ahead and use build. Okay, that's all. Only simple call this method build. Only simple call this method build. So whenever you call this method build, it will, what will happen, it will just go ahead here, call this Jenkins library and find it out this build.groovy, and it will call the build.groovy one. Okay, and in this build.groovy we have default method call, automatically it will execute. So what is it written? Executing build method, right? Executing the build method. That's all. So we have added the build functionality here. Build functionality here. So what do we need? Let remove this one in the deploy. Okay, suppose I want to add, let's add another script block here, and we have to find which method will be best suit for your deployment, right? So find it out the methods, which are methods are available here. We have, suppose deploy is there. If you want to use this deploy, you can use it, or you can go ahead and create one more deploy here. It's uploading part. Now for your demo, suppose I will add one more groovy your functionality. Suppose you are going to add a new functionality here. What you can do, you can directly add anything to the master, or you can create a new branch, right? You can create a new branch and go ahead and use it. Okay, but for the quick demo, let me just add a new file here in the master directly. Suppose name it as deploy demo dot groovy. This is how you have to write a method in the shell library. The extension should be .groovy. Remember, the extension should be .groovy. Deploy demo, this is the method name and this is the extension. Okay, now we have to write the method def. Suppose I want the method name I gave as deploy, simple deploy. Okay, and give it as 10, right? And just write whatever you need, whatever the deployment, what commands, the real commands you want to write, you can write it out. So I'll simply use it, deploying to staging server, deploying to staging server. Okay, now it's deployed. Simple method, right? This is the basic I'm showing you from the starting one. Okay, from the basic. If I directly jump into the advanced one, you will again get lost, means in between you will just lost anywhere. It will be, you will not find it out how to write it, right? So first start with the basic, how you write the method. You can just directly write the deploy here, or for your starting understanding, let me just write it call, def call. Okay, so if I go ahead and check, okay, def call, and here just simple statement I wrote it, echo statement method here, right? Now save it. If you want to see how to write the method, go ahead. See, def and the method name, right, with the braces. Here I just method, default method I used call, default method I used call. Okay, so I used one deploy demo dot groovy, right? Deploy dot. So I used def call echo deploying to staging server. That's all. And I want to use this method in my Jenkins file. So let's go to the Jenkins file. Let's go to the Jenkins file. Here I'll just add call this method. I'll just call this method. That's all. While calling, you have to put this parenthesis here. Okay. See, instead of writing all the code here in your pipeline script, you simply referenced this method from the sad library. Which sad library? From this sad library. You simply referenced this sad library. Okay. Now simply save it. Commit the changes. Done. Let's go ahead and run the job. If I go ahead to my sad library, things, is it saved or not? Yeah, no changes been done, right? Good. Now if I go ahead this particular branch and build it, build now. Okay, so the building is failed. It could be due to some issues. So let's find it out why it is failed. Okay, so what it says the error is no version specified for library. This one, no version is specified. So we missed out add the versions in our Jenkins style library, right? So let's go ahead and go to the configure again. And here, if you remember, I had left out a version, default version, right? Default version. So what happened here? A default version of the library to load if the script does not select another might be the branch name, tag, commit, and hash, etc. So it did not automatically take the master one. I thought it will take the master one, so it did not take the master one. So what you will do? Default branch, suppose for me it will be master. If you have a different, I'll show you another one also. We'll create a new branch and I'll show you that also. So I just use master branch here, save it. Okay, so it is scanning now, success, fine. Go to the code. Now let's build it. Let's build it. See, it is now success. Okay, what will happen here? The branch is now, the library is now loaded. Remember, you have to give the particular version name of the library. Now it is loaded, and if you go ahead and check the logs, see, executing the build method, deploying to staging server. So from where it got it? It got directly from the Jenkins SAD library. It got directly from the Jenkins SAD library. Now let's do a real-time work. Just do a real-time work. Suppose I am a member of this project and I want to modify the code, and how I'll change, how I'll do the changes with respect to SAD library, with respect to the jobs. Okay, now suppose I need to add some other functionality in my code. First work is to create a branch, right? So let's go ahead and create a branch. Suppose I'll create a branch as a feature, right? I'll give slash, suppose I'll give feature leave 1.1, create from the master. Okay, now I have two branches of the SAD library. I have two branches of the Jenkins SAD library. One is the master, another one is the feature leave 1.1. Now any changes I want to make it for my requirement, I can go ahead and do the changes in the script, or I can add it new functionality. Suppose I want to change something in the build groovy, right? Let's modify it. Let's modify it. Okay, I'll just add it, suppose like echo I am called out from SAD library. Something I wrote it here. Okay, now I did modify based on my requirement. I did modify this method build.groovy. Don't get, guys, this is a simple things. I am just for demonstrating how it is being called. I've written it here, but based on a requirement you might write 100 lines of code inside this method. You might write multiple methods inside this particular build.groovy file. Okay, you might write multiple other methods. When we'll do a final project, right, that time I'll combine everything and put into all together to a style library and do the final project from end to end from the scratch. Then you can understand how you'll write the final project. Will have everything. This is for demonstration to understand how the SAD library is being used and being called out in the Jenkins file. Okay, I just modified this build.groovy as per my requirement. I created a new branch and build it out. Now let's do the changes, commit it. Now let's do modify to the deploy.groovy also, not deploy.groovy. Suppose I want to modify this deploy demo.groovy. Okay, let me just add it here. Same thing, I'll just add it, echo statement here. I'm deploying it from SAR library. That's all. Did the commit the changes. Now you saw how you can just modify the functionality based on your requirement. You modified. Now what changes you have to do? You have to do, there are the changes into the Jenkins SAR library job, right? So go to the Jenkins site. This is the job. Suppose you have to modify it. So what you have to do? You have to go and just to configure to the SAR library demo, and let's go to the pipeline library. In this pipeline library, instead of master, what you have to use? You have to use now the feature leaf 1.1. This is the branch. This is the branch where my SAR library is having. Okay, so you have to discover this branch. Now you have to write, instead of master, you have to write feature leaf 1.1. Then now let's save it, right? Let's save it. Okay, so here what happens here, my SAR library, and okay, anything is it's fine, leave it. Now let's save. Okay, now it will scan Jenkins file found, SAR library. That's all done. If I go ahead to the logs, we have the fourth build, right? Let's go ahead and build, start a new build and see the output. In the fourth build, if you see here, as we are using the master branch, we had only one statement was written, executing build method, right? Now we are going to use a different library branch. So let me just build it. So fifth number build is running. Success. Go ahead and check the logs. See, executing the build method, and I am called from the SAR library. So it was the feature leaf 1.1 whatever we just created, feature leaf 1.1. This is the library branch inside this my Jenkins library. It is created, right? Similarly way you have to do the modifications. You got complete ideas how you will do it, right? Now this is what I was just demonstrating you how to use the SAR library. There are much things to know and work. Maybe if I give everything in one day, it will be difficult to you understand. What I would suggest you, okay, and one more thing, you have to use the, as I said, you have to use the Jenkins SAR library of the jenkins.io official page. Okay, there it has explained everything. Okay, let me just show you that one also. What is this? Google thinks is not working. We have this Jenkins extended with SAR library. We have a page called extended with SAR library, jenkins.io let me, as I have told you multiple times, whenever you work you have to always dependent on the documentations. The document keep changing, they're adding new functionality, and better you are up, you should always up to date with the their documentations. Okay, follow this jenkins.io page and we'll have multiple documentations and how you'll use it. Okay, it has given defining the shared library. This is the directory structure. See, this is the directory structure, whatever is being used, source, and this one. And also it has the how to use it also, whatever demonstrated I did it right, how to use it also. It has given everything, it has given everything, how to call the library. See this one, right? How to call the library. If you have a different library version, you can directly use it here itself, library at the rate 1.1. Or if you can use multiple library, accessing multiple libraries, suppose you have multiple libraries, how will accept it? You can simply use comma and give another library name. So this is, I'm just give you, and you can put it into the list, square bracket, inside the parenthesis we'll have square bracket. Okay, these things we'll do in our, maybe in tomorrow classes we'll see how multiple pipelines we can use, multiple libraries we can use in our Jenkins pipeline. Okay, this is what you have to use it, all the examples it has given. Okay, loading libraries dynamically, how we load it, right? How we can use this. Don't go beyond all this because you'll get um, no, it will be a problem for you if you go beyond whatever things you know so far, because you know only basics. If you go and go inside this one, you'll, what is this helper, what is this helper dot prepare, it will get completely disturbed if you are to go everything. It has lots of other methods being used, little, it's total advanced one, right? You don't go for this one, and just try to understand what exactly default version, whatever we are just discussing, right? Master one or branch name, you can directly load the branch in the Jenkins file itself, or you can provide the version name in the syntax whatever I just showed you. Okay, let me show you here. Go to the configure. In the pipeline libraries we gave this default version, right? Suppose you don't want to put it here, what you can do in the Jenkins share library, in the pipeline script, right? Here you can just put it at the rate feature leave 1.1, at the rate feature leave 1.1. So this is what I was going to show you. If you go here, you can see at the rate master, that means it will use the master branch, it will use the master branch. Okay, and if you you don't want to put it here any merchants or anything, because it is going to use it from the script itself. And if you want to use any other, if you want to use master, you can load it like this. Okay, so this is one way you can use it. The other way also, as I said, I showed you inside the, sorry, inside the job we have a pipeline libraries, and we uploaded, we updated everything, the library name here. How we'll do in other way around, right? Let's go ahead, go to the manage Jenkins. Okay, and go to the configure system. Search for library, I think. Okay, so in the configure system we have one global library. You can see here we have one global pipeline libraries, right? Either you can add there, or itself you can click on here add, and the same things whatever we have added there, right, the same things we can add it here itself. That means you don't have to unnecessarily add the global pipeline libraries in your job. So once you do the setup here, you can use that particular libraries anywhere in the project. But what will be the problem, guys? In that case, what will be the problem? You'll face the problem like, as it is a global one, will have one default versions. You don't need that particular default version to be there. You want your specific version. So better, what do you do? Add the pipeline library in your job itself, instead of adding it here in your job itself. So this is a task for you guys. Go to your configure system, add the library whatever the way I have added you. Okay, just give a library name, modern scm git, give the library repository url. Okay, put it everything and try to build the job and give me the result. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss further on this. Okay, so it's up to you how you do that. Now you saw how you can add the Jenkins style library in a different ways. So this is the first one, and the next class we'll discuss and we'll have a complete project on the style library. Okay, so that's all guys for today's class. Maybe we'll discuss further advanced one in our tomorrow classes. If you have any doubt or anything, we can discuss it now, or we can wind up this call and we'll meet up tomorrow. And do this practice and create at least 1 or 2 jobs or multiple jobs. Try to do this side library practice. Okay, we'll have discussion tomorrow.